Guys, how's it going? It's Al. My top 10 wide receivers for 2022 fantasy football drafts. This is a video that you guys have been waiting for all week. It's been rankings week. We did our top 10 quarterbacks, then 11s through 20, and then we hit the top 10 running backs videos here on the Fantasy Football channel. So if you have not watched those, go check those out as well to help you be better informed on how you can beat your friends in fantasy football this season, because it is fantasy football draft month, and man, I'm excited. So I'm doing a whole bunch of best ball drafts on both Underdog and DraftKings. Tons of videos on this channel to help you out. If you have not been here already, thank you for showing up to the channel. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, because I'm coming out with a ton of videos every single day of every single, well, not every, like 4, 5, 6 videos are coming out here on the Fantasy Football channel during NFL preseason. And leave me a reply down below with somebody that I did not put in my top 10 that you believe should be a top 10 wide receiver this season. Let's go.
He's a legend.
Let's start with my number 10 wide receiver on my list for this season. He is being drafted as the wide receiver 8 currently. So I'm a little bit lower on DEEBO Samuel than the field. Everybody's drafting him around 17.8, but like a lot of the back end here, wide receivers like 6 through 14 on the ADP list are all kind of bunched up. So it comes down to personal preference. Do you like chocolate? Do you like vanilla? Do you like Rocky Road? It depends on what you personally like and your assessments for what things are going to happen this season. Now, DEEBO Samuel just signed a massive contract extension with the San Francisco 49ers. My issues with DEEBO, like if I can have issues with somebody who's like the 10th running back or 10th wide receiver on my board, really, right? Like he's top 10. We're getting pretty granular here, but I don't expect San Francisco to throw the ball as much as they threw the ball last year. I do expect them to run the ball a little bit with DEEBO like they did last year, and targets are just worth more than rush attempts. We know this from how we treat our running backs. We want guys that get targets. So I want a wide receiver who actually gets utilized as a wide receiver. I expect his touchdown rate to come down from where it was last year. He scored an awful lot on runs that did not begin inside the 10-yard line. And it's difficult to have those rush attempts from that deep turn into touchdowns as frequently over time, right? Like that's something that should regress towards the mean. So the touchdown numbers should come down. We already have his target totals down from where they should be based on how many rush attempts he saw last year. Through 19 games, he ran the ball 86 times. I don't think that number is going to decline by all that much. Like if he only runs it 60 times, that would be better for me. But like that's like 40 targets that could be going his way instead of rush attempts. Add into the mix Trey Lance. I believe in Trey Lance's talent. I believe that he is going to be a fantasy monster, but I don't think he's going to throw the ball 600 plus times. They may only throw it like 450 times this year. That does not bode well for DEEBO Samuel. We need more pass attempts for him to really actualize his worth as a top 2 round wide receiver. So while I do have some shares, he's not somebody that I'm clicking as much because the price tag that the market has assigned to him is higher than what I value other players at. Like looking at my number 9 wide receiver is just the opposite. Keenan Allen for the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, Justin Herbert is the odds-on favorite in multiple sportsbooks to lead the league in terms of passing touchdowns in 2022. Take a look at Keenan Allen, somebody who underperformed in terms of touchdowns with as many red zone trips as this Chargers offense made last year, and how efficient this Chargers offense was last year with the amount of targets that he gets, more targets than DEEBO Samuel. DEEBO's value was mostly based on his touchdown rate, which, as I said, I believe is going to regress. I also think that Keenan Allen's is going to regress, but in a positive way towards the mean, with as many targets and yards as he can accrue in an offense that is as varied and talented as this one is, and how many times he gets peppered with targets. There's not very much target competition here. He is in the top 3. Obviously, there are talented wide receivers. Mike Williams is really good. Keenan Allen operates in the short to intermediate range, and Austin Eckler out of the backfield. An emerging Josh Palmer, but he's not going to get more than like 13% of the targets. So Keenan Allen's market share here is pretty solidified, and I'm having an expectation of maybe 8 to 10 touchdowns from him instead of 6, which really brings into consideration how much more valuable he is, specifically in PPR formats. Currently, Keenan Allen is being drafted as a wide receiver 12, so he's outside the top 10 wide receivers. I'm much higher on him than the field is. ADP of 28. I'm okay drafting him at the back end of the second round. A few picks still ahead of ADP. My wide receiver 8 is TYREEK Hill. Yes, he moves from one offense to another. We know what the Chiefs offense has been. And we know that Tua has not been outstanding the last 2 years, and that Patrick Mahomes is just a better quarterback than Tua is based on talent, arm strength, stats, whatever, however you want to put it. But Tyreek Hill does and brings a unique skill set to any team that he plays for. He's currently being drafted at 21.4 overall on ADP as the wide receiver 9. I'm a little bit higher in the field than him, but like not by much in terms of ADP. Very easy to double stack with Jalen Waddle going around the 3-4 turn, and then Tua going in like round 12, 13, 14. Like, it's very easy to build a Dolphins double stack around Tyreek if you're drafting him at the back end of the second round. He is going to get loose deep. He is going to be open. It's not as much, does Tua have as strong an arm as Mahomes? That's not really the key. The key is, does Tyreek Hill get separation? Does he get open? Can Tua hit an open wide receiver in a varied offense from a better offensive coordinator that is going to be based around his skill set? And he does have other players around him that defenses have to worry about, with a multitude of players in the backfield. Jalen Waddle on the other side, and a very athletic Mike Gesicki manning the short to intermediate in the tight end spot. Tyreek Hill is a generational talent. He is somebody who is as good at his thing as Deshaun Jackson and Randy Moss is, in terms of being able to get behind defenses and score 35, 40 plus yard touchdowns year over year over year over year. It's just something that he has been able to do. And not all of that is attributed to Patrick Mahomes. He made Alex Smith one of the best deep throwers in terms of efficiency in the year that he played, his last year that he played with Alex Smith as a Kansas City quarterback. I'm projecting he's going to do similar things for Tua as he did for Alex Smith, without saying that Tua is going to be Patrick Mahomes. So I'm fine drafting Tyreek Hill at ADP, my wide receiver 8 in 2022. Make sure that you check out all the great games that they have over at Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE, for a $100 deposit match on your first deposit to the site. You can just click the link down below in the pinned comment. Drop a like on that link in the pinned comment down below just to let me know that you see it. Smizzle.tv/underdog will take you right there. They have a multitude of drafts at various price points. The tournaments from $5, the Puppy 3, which is going to fill rather quickly. The Best Ball Mania 3, $2 million to first place, $1 million to second, $1 million if you win the 14-week regular season if you're the highest scoring team. Drafts in golf, pick'em, baseball, no matter what you like, whatever sport you like, they have a way for you to play it. So go check out all the great stuff they have over at Underdog Fantasy, and let's get back to the video. CeeDee Lamb is my 7th wide receiver. He is currently being drafted as the 6th wide receiver. 13.6 is his ADP. So, like, I'm fine with CeeDee Lamb. You guys know my feelings about him. I was much higher than the field on him last year. He was fine, but like, it wasn't thrilling. He only had like 6 touchdowns as the Cowboys offense went through other routes. He has much less competition for targets this year. I would not be shocked to see CeeDee Lamb end the season with like 160 targets this year, as opposed to the 125 that he had last year with Amari Cooper and a healthy Michael Gallup. Right now, they have Dalton Schultz. They have Pollard is going to man the slot a little bit. They have a rookie that's going to have to play a ton of snaps early in the season, considering that James Washington just is going to be injured for the first 2.5 months of the regular season. CeeDee Lamb's arrow is certainly up here. We might even see a rise in his ADP based on that James Washington injury, with a couple of more targets a game possibly funneling his way. Good high floor, solid ceiling here for a guy who could certainly break out this season in 2022. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to be outstanding. And the Cowboys are still on my list of carnival type teams that have really great offenses, not really great defenses. So high shootout possibility every single week that the Cowboys take the field, which bodes well for CeeDee Lamb's draft confidence. Number 6 for me is Davante Adams. He was on our do not draft video. I think that his ADP is just too high at 11.1. I would rather take other players in his range, but that is not a slight on Davante Adams. He is clearly one of the best, if not the best, technical wide receiver from an IRL standpoint in the league. My issue is I do not see him getting the amount of targets that he got the last couple of seasons in Green Bay, and the quality of passer that he's going from in Aaron Rodgers to a Derek Carr is also much different. So like Derek Carr, generally lives in like the 22 to 27 touchdown range on a season, where Aaron Rodgers has been living in the 35 to 45 touchdown range. There's just less touchdowns to go around. Davante Adams has been second in the league the last 3 years in terms of inside the 3 targets, and led the league the last 2 years in targets from the 1 yard line. Those aren't scripted plays that come in from the sideline. That's a guy like Aaron Rodgers saying, look, you called a run, but like, I got Davante over there. I'm just going to throw him the ball and he's going to catch it. I don't see all of those opportunities coming anymore for Davante Adams, at least not as frequently as they came the last 2 to 3 seasons. So for me, he's being drafted for what he was with the Packers and no longer is on the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. He is still a solid talent. I have him as my 6th wide receiver overall here, but I'm not willing to spend the price that he's at. Now, if he falls to me, if I've got like the 10 pick and he falls to me in the 2nd round, yeah, I might click his name then because I'm getting a value versus ADP. Because the players in that tier after from like 6 overall to like 15 overall are all very similar. And there are some guys that I'm higher on than the field, like Mike Evans. I talked about how much Davante Adams got usage inside the 3 yard line the last 3 seasons. He was the number 2 targeted pass catcher from that range. You know who's number 1? That guy. You know whose situation has not changed at quarterback or on offense? That guy. Mike Evans is still in the exact same situation that he has been in the past, albeit with possibly a higher market share of targets than he saw the last 2 years. Mike Evans could absolutely explode. He is currently the wide receiver 7 coming off the board in drafts on Underdog. I have him as my 5th wide receiver. He has an ADP of 18. He's fallen to me at like pick 22 and 23 in like 5 drafts that I've done the last week. I want to have as much Mike Evans as I can possibly have. It's also very easy to pair him with other pass catchers, 1 or 2 more on Tampa Bay based on their current ADPs because of injury situations or signings. And Tom Brady's only costing a 7th, 8th round pick. My best ball tournament teams are all about correlation. And if I can get the guy who is the top touchdown scorer at wide receiver in the back half of the 2nd round with a quarterback who is 2nd right now in terms of odds to be the leading touchdown thrower in the NFL, yeah, sign me up. Why am I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Why isn't the field as high on Mike Evans as me? You know what? I kind of don't care because I just keep getting him at a value, and I'm going to chalk up all of those touchdowns and all of those yards and all of those catches in a fantastic offense continuing this season. So I'm higher than the field on Mike Evans, and happily so. Steph Diggs, the real American hero, has some regression coming his way. Look, very possibly the top offense in the league. Very possibly the best quarterback in the league, arguably at least, and the number 1 fantasy quarterback in the league being drafted as the QB1 is Josh Allen. Nothing is going to change from his market share of targets, the total of targets that are coming his way. He was one of the league leaders in terms of end zone targets last year and red zone targets last year, and did not convert those into touchdowns. If those numbers stay the same, if the volume of targets that he gets stays the same, if the market share of targets that he gets stays the same, and all signs point to yes, I asked the magic 8 ball, and he still is going to get the same amount of inside the 10 and inside the 5 targets, those extremely valuable, all you have to do is catch it and you get 6 points sort of targets, keep flowing Stefon Diggs' way, he will score more touchdowns in 2022 than he did in 2021. Currently being drafted as a wide receiver 4, ADP of 7.7. My wide receiver 3, I'm kind of in lockstep with the field here. The field is kind of sharp. Everything is just right. If you get these guys, you're going to get them. Jamar Chase. There may be some regression coming his way. Cincinnati was extremely efficient in terms of downfield throws, in terms of touchdowns, everything else last season, but they did it with a really bad offensive line. That offensive line play is going to be better, meaning that Joe Burrow should be throwing from more clean pockets in 2022 than he did in 2021. So I don't know, Jamar Chase is just appropriately priced at 5.3. I'm not sure that we're going to see an increase in total targets here. Obviously, 21 games on DraftKings, so you say, well, he had 163 targets last year. Yeah, but that includes the playoffs. So, like, subtract 17, 23, subtract 35 from that total, and you'll see exactly why he is not in the top 2, even though he does project to be, in a couple of years, probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Right now, he is a little bit too reliant on touchdowns, which, look, touchdowns are great, but it's not something you want to lean on because they're extremely variant and not sticky from year to year, or as sticky as catches and targets and everything else. I love the fact that this offense has improved. He is my wide receiver 3 as he is with the field. I am in agreement with them on that, but I would not be drafting him over Justin Jefferson. Even though he may be more talented than Justin Jefferson just receives way more targets than does Jamar Chase and is not as touchdown reliant as Jamar Chase because of the fact that he does project to get more targets than Jamar Chase. So Justin Jefferson's ADP is 3.7. He is very slightly the wide receiver 2 on draft boards right now, and he's just seemingly always open. He has great separation skills, can get deep, short, and win at short and intermediate routes. They are moving to a more pass-happy offense this season. He received 167 targets last year. It's tough to get more than that, okay? It just is. Like, he's basically getting you an average of 10 targets a game. Like, let's say he does get 10 or 11, which is like rarefied here. Let's say he does get 28+% of the market share targets and does get a little bit touchdown lucky. You could see a 15 touchdown season from Justin Jefferson. So higher floor than some of the more touchdown dependent wide receivers, but also has that touchdown upside as well. And my number 1 wide receiver, my son, Cooper KUPP. Obviously, I don't care what type of regression you're planning. This Rams offense is still going to smash. It would be hard for Cooper KUPP to post as good a season as he did last year. But like, even if you take it down by like 10%, he still projects to lead the league in terms of targets. He always seems to be open. How many times did we think last year, like when you were watching Rams games, how many times did you think, did they just forget to cover Cooper KUPP? McVay is so good in this offense at scheming his players open that even the most obvious player on the field that everybody knows is going to gather between 9 and 13 targets every single week still finds himself wide open on the regular for a team that should average one of the top 3, be one of the top 3 scoring offenses in the league in 2022. And he gets the amazing amount of inside the 20, inside the 10, and end zone targets. I think that Allen Robinson on the other side helps him. Having Robert Woods opposite him as the number 2 guy never hurt Cooper KUPP's numbers either. The more talented players on this offense, the better. And I guess there's a little bit of benefit to the fact that the Rams don't throw the ball very much to their running backs out of the backfield, at least not as much as we would like, right, as analytics-driven fantasy football folk. But that just means more good things for Cooper KUPP. They utilize some of those breakout screens, those jailbreak screens, those wide receiver bubbles, everything else to kind of act as run plays, and that just adds to those massive amounts of targets and catches that Cooper KUPP gets. He's really, really good. You should probably draft him somewhere in the top 3 or 4. You guys like this video? Drop a like down below. Look out for another one right there.
He's a legend.